Welcome back, everyone. It's now day 3 of layout week, and I am going to be making a custom Starburst banner designed to frame a 4x6 photo. And so I'm starting by measuring 3 inches up from the bottom of a piece of 12x12 craft cardstock. And the ruler that I'm using here is the Perfect ruler, manufactured by Perfect Paper Crafting Company. And it has that orange bar on the top actually presses down a non-skid foot on the ruler, so the ruler doesn't shift when you're drawing your lines or cutting or any of that. So if you're interested in getting this ruler, you can get it for 5% off with the coupon code in the video description below. So after I drew my line 3 inches up from the bottom, I drew another line 4 inches up from that. And then I drew one line 2 inches in from the side, and then the other line 6 inches over from there. And now I have this 4x6 square, or well, rectangle that you see, and I am marking the center of each of the 4 sides of that rectangle. And then I'm going to connect the points because I want to find the center of this rectangle. And this 4x6 rectangle represents my photo. And so all the measurements are based off that. Now I need a ruler that's longer than 12 inches. So I've got my 18-inch ruler from Basic Gray. And I'm drawing a line that goes from one corner of the 12x12 cardstock through that center point. And then all my other lines are going to go through that center point as well. And I'm making sure that when I get near a corner that I pay attention to how it ends. So now all of those, I erased all the lines that you don't need. So now you get an idea of what it looks like. And now I'm going to number all of the pieces of my starburst. I'm actually going to, or sunburst. I'm going to cut out half of them. And by numbering them, that tells me which ones to cut out, because if I want to cut out every other one, then I'm going to cut all the odds or all the evens. And then I numbered the inside of the square by habit, because a lot of times when I do this type of layout, I will put pattern paper pieces behind, and that's a note to myself where each piece I cut out gets re-adhered, but you really only need to number the outside pieces. So now once again, I'm going to take my ruler and my craft knife, and I'm going to cut from the edge of the paper along the lines to my square. And you can see how when I go to cut with this ruler, I press down on that orange bar, and that not only keeps my fingers away from the blade, but it also keeps the ruler from sliding on my paper and ruining my cut. And I just have to take a minute here to change my craft knife blade because it was starting to not cut all the way through and making jaggedy cuts. So now I'm going to just continue going all the way around the square rectangle. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a mask for me that I can use to have a sunburst effect coming from behind my photo, which is why I made that rectangle 4x6. So there we go. All right, so now I have got that finished, and now you can see kind of how it looks and how all the pieces are disconnected. Oh, see, that was right before I changed my craft knife. All my pieces are disconnected and they're kind of flopping around. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through and remove all of the odd numbered pieces. And by removing all the odd numbered pieces, I'm going to be left with a sunburst array. And I'm going to be able to use this as a mask to spray some Color Shine by Heidi Swapp. And so I'm going to be putting this over a piece of white cardstock by American Crafts, and then I'm going to spray the whole thing with the Heidi Swapp Color Shine in Sweet Cherry. And I am going to spray darker around the center of the sunburst and lighter around the edges. So you can see how I'm going back through and making it darker around the center. This is just so that the highest concentration of color is right by the photos. And now I can show you how I have that little block that tells me exactly where to put my photos, so it looks like they're the center of the burst of rays. And see how that looks really cool. So now I want to just jazz up the sunburst a little bit, so I'm putting a little bit of splatter effect on it, and then I'm also making drops by dipping the end of the spray nozzle into the tube and touching it to the page to make those larger round dots. And this is just going to give it a little bit more of a bursting effect. I just wanted it to not look quite so perfect. So I'm going to set that aside to dry, and then once it's dry, I'm going to come back in and get to work. So now here's my only piece of pattern paper, which is a Remember Today journaling card, which is a 4x6 card from that Echo Park Photo Freedom collection that came in the Hip Kit. And I have the Mint Julep die cuts and transparencies pack from Basic Gray. And I'm just getting started on building my corners. And I'm just going through the little pack and finding things that work with my color scheme and that work with my photos and the story I want to tell, and adding them to the page. And I'm not necessarily worried about whether or not this is going to be their permanent home. I'm not trying to make big decisions. I'm just trying to work quickly. Once I've added those little embellishments, I'm going to go through some of the other embellishments on my desk and see if anything catches my eye for this layout. So I'm going to add a couple bits and pieces here from the Sweet Shop collection, and I've also added a sticker from Echo Park's Photo Freedom. Now I'm taking a look here and I see a brad that I want to use to bring in with my color scheme. And I thought about swapping out that Hello chipboard sticker from Sweet Shop for the Hello Flare, but I changed my mind. And now it's time for some stamping, and I'm going to use the Jilly Bean Soup stamps and the Hero Arts Shadow ink. And I did a few test stamps, and I didn't really like how they turned out. And this is a new stamp set, so I think the stamp may need some conditioning. And all I'm doing is going over it with a white eraser. And I'm just kind of erasing the factory film that comes on, that sometimes is on them. And look at the difference in how it stamps compared to the first few, and how much better the ink coverage is. And then once I've gotten those stamped, I'm going to set those aside to dry because the shadow inks need to sit for a minute to kind of smooth out. So I'm going to work on getting things adhered down and assembling my page. So now I've taken my two photos and I've adhered them to each other. And I've got the journaling spot behind them, and I want it to slide in and out like a pocket. So I'm putting it up as far as I want it to come up, and I'm just sticking a piece of washi tape on it to hold it in place. Then I'm going to create a pocket using foam tape. So I've put a piece of foam tape all the way across the bottom to keep it from falling down behind the photos. And now I'm going to put foam tape on either side to keep it from sliding out the side of the photos. And that's going to create a pocket for my little journaling spot to go in. And now I'm going to take my chipboard Hello with the heart, and I'm going to adhere it to the bottom corner of my photo. And now I have to put some foam tape on the back to raise it up so everything is level. And now I'm just going, I've tied some twine from the Sweet Shop ephemera pack or embellishment pack through one of the chipboard buttons, and I've glued it down. And now I'm getting ready to just remove the adhesive from the backs of my photos, because I'm finally ready to commit. This is definitely where the photo is going to go. And so I'm going to glue the whole piece down, and then I'm going to just remove that tape from the pocket so that the page can slide in and out. And so now I'm getting the embellishments in the upper right corner adhered down. So I'm going to staple the little slide frame down with my tiny attacher, and then I'm going to adhere the chipboard flag from the Sweet Shop collection down on top of it. And then I'm going to start adding the rest of my pieces. I'm going to tuck this little heart tag behind the chipboard banner. But then I wanted something between it and the banner that was not, so it wasn't tan on tan with the slide frame. So I'm going to tuck it actually behind that little blue piece there so that there's another pop of color there. And then I'm going to just, I peeled up the chipboard piece so really quickly so I could punch a hole in it with my Crop-A-Dile. And now I'm going to put my fabric brad with the cherries and then adhere it back down to the page. Because I didn't want to put it through the pocket because then I wouldn't be able to pull my journaling spot out. So now I'm going to work on the left side of the page, and this is one of the tags from the Basic Gray die cut pack, and I'm just stamping from the same stamp set, You Are My Sunshine, and adding it to the tag, and it's going to act as a subtitle of sorts. And now I've put both regular tape and foam tape on the back of the tags so that it will lie flat with the photos, because the photos are up on foam tape. And I'm going to adhere that down, and then I'm just going to take that stamped piece that from earlier that I have cut out and let dry, and I'm going to adhere it in the upper right corner. So I have some words up there. And now I've got another one of those blue buttons I'm going to stick down to my bottom left area. And then I'm going to add some of these cherry colored dots from the enamel dot pack to a couple places around the page. I'm going to put them on the tag. I'm going to put them on the journaling spot. And I'm also going to put one on the Hello chipboard piece from the Sweet Shop collection so that they frame the photos with those little red pops of color. And now I'm just going to stamp my date on the date label sticker from Echo Park. And I decided I wanted a little bit more of a title than I had, so I'm just going to do a very simple title of 214 since it's a Valentine layout. And that is going to finish the page off. So in a second here, I'm going to show you some close-ups of the finished page. I just have to reposition my button because it was in the way of my title. So here you can see how the journaling spot easily pulls in and out from behind the photos. And then here's a close-up of the different areas of embellishment. And that is the layout. Still photos follow at the end. Thanks for watching.